she is Bronx. I'm assuming she's a Bronx native. Don't quote me. When she comes on, if she tells me that I'm wrong, I do apologize. But I noticed that most of her work is done in New York and done in the Bronx. But she is what we call a motivational coach. She's an author. She is in the religious circuit as a chaplain, so she can cover any of those issues or deal with any of those issues that I just mentioned that we often have, not only as women, but just as people, as entrepreneurs, as career people, issues that we have with staying focused, staying abreast, staying motivated while we are still dealing with life, and life is life. And so let me see if I can cue her in. Hold on one second. And of course, if you have any questions, you are always welcome to put them in the chat. You can DM me. Don't text me though. Texting gets on my nerves. You may call me, you may DM me, and you may put it in the chat, but please don't text me while I'm doing the show. All right, let me see if I can get her on here. While we're waiting, I see it's trying to load up now. While we're waiting, she, like I said, is an author. So she's written books, she's written journals, she's written devotionals for people that are more visual and need more tangible help when they're dealing with motivation and dealing with, counseling with life issues. She has that for you. I'm curious to know if these things are available on Audible. I know she said it's on Amazon, but I want to know for myself because I don't have a lot of attention span for books. But I want to know if it's available on Audible or some type of digital format where I can listen, like when I'm driving to work or whatnot. Let me see here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, we have our guests here. We are working through technological issues, you guys. Hold on 1 second. I'm an English major and a communications major. I did not do technology. They have her here. Give me 1 second. Any questions that you have, please put them in the chat so that we can address them as soon as I get her pulled up for you. All right. Magic of live TV. All right. So I'm going to keep it moving until they can get her queued in. But I met Amarty back in 2023, I think it was. I was at an event, and when I go to events and like panel discussions and I take your business card, if I took your business card, if I took your phone number, it's for a reason. It's because at some point I plan to connect with you, or I value the work that you're doing and I want to see how I can help or how, we can be of service to each other. And when I saw her, I noticed immediately that she had a sparkle in her eyes. She was promoting her book at the time, which was Dark Secrets, if I'm not mistaken. She has several out, but Dark Secrets, I think, was the book that she was promoting. And I noticed that it focused on trauma, particularly the protagonist, the way the protagonist was dealing with her trauma. I think it had something to do with like sex abuse or some type of I'll let her tell you more about it, but I noticed that it was an issue or a topic that a lot of the young girls that I work with deal with, a lot of the adults, some of my friends who I can't put their business in the street, deal with a lot of these traumas that her book was addressing. And so that made me want to connect with her to see what it is she was including. How was she dealing with the trauma? Because it's a very sensitive nature. It's a very sensitive topic that people don't often feel comfortable just telling any random Joe on the street about. And for her to have wait a minute, what's this here? For her to have compiled techniques into a book, I thought that was pretty cool. So for her, when she gets on here, I want to ask her more about that particular book and how I can use that book with the young ladies that I work with, and maybe, like I said, possibly some of my friends that I know deal with some of those issues. I also noticed that of late, I don't know how long she's been in the religious circle, but I have noticed that she incorporates a lot of religion and biblical practices and beliefs into her work. And that is very, very important to me. The older I get, the more I realize that it is critical. If you don't believe in something or someone other than the enemy, I honestly don't know how people are making it. I can't tell you what religion to adopt. I can't tell you, who's right or who's wrong. I guess we all won't know until we end up dying. But I know that you need something or someone that you believe in that helps keep you afloat and helps keep you positive and, like I said, motivated while life is lifing. Okay, so that made me want to interview her even sooner than I had hoped. Originally, I wasn't going to interview Amardi until March, when Women's History Month comes, but I decided to go ahead and do that now while it was on my heart and while I was able to connect to some of the topics that she's been focusing on. Hold on one second, guys. I'm getting cued in. Hold on one second. All right. Hold on. Can you hear me, Amardi?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
You can see me? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm not a good multitasker. You know that. You've been dealing with me for the past couple of days. I'm working on it. But she's here, guys. So I gave them a brief intro into who you are and what it is you do. So this is actually kind of perfect timing because I didn't want to misquote. Like yesterday, I was confusing life coach with motivational coach. So I'm working on it. Like I got my Harriet the Spy journal here, as my ex co-host used to tease me about. But thank you so much for your patience, and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
Glasses on. So, as I was explaining to our viewers, we are live. Hi, everybody. We got it together. We are live. As I was explaining to them, what made me push up your interview, I wasn't originally planning to interview you until Women's History Month.
Okay.
But what made me say, you know what, I need to talk to her, was I saw you had a Faith Over Fear post and you have a Faith Over Fear book.
Yes.
And my good friend that recently passed away, Miss Ananda Lewis, that was one of her favorite Bible quotes, was faith over fear. She unfortunately passed away from breast cancer. But she did not want us to be sad, and she did not want us to fear that could also happen to us. She wanted us to more so be wise and to not make the same mistakes that she made. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you keep people motivated? How do you keep them motivated? Is it just with your religious principles, or do you just tackle each situation on like a case by case basis? How do you do that?
It is case by case because everyone's spiritual journey isn't necessarily the same as mine. It is also about empowering everyone to be their best selves to the best capacity. I pray that is onto God, but recognizing that everyone has their own journeys and God will bring them where they need to be at the right time. So for me, in my journey, is to just help people with giving them the tools that they need to elevate themselves, whether it's helping you with procrastination, helping you build up your self-esteem, helping you just learn how to love and make time for yourself. So in those different capacities, just helping people just find who they are and love who they are so that they're not looking to other people. They're not looking to other things that are causing our society to be in havoc. Is that we are learning ourselves, because once we learn to love ourselves and know who we are, we can then pour that out onto other people. So I'm just here to be a tool to help people get to that.
A vessel, a tool. I am so glad you said that because we were supposed to take a break at 2:15, but I'm going to assume that since we were having technological issues, our first break is not going to be till 2:30. People in the background room, we're taking a break at 2:30. Figure it out. You touched on something. I think that a lot of people feel unmotivated because they don't have any goals and they don't have that self-love and that feeling of self-worth. Like I deserve to be better than where I'm at. I deserve to have everything that my heart desires. I deserve that. A lot of people are struggling with that self-love, and it's very difficult to be motivated to do anything if you are having issues with loving and liking who you are. And I originally thought it was more so an issue with like young girls and women. But as I'm doing this work, I'm finding that a lot of men, particularly men of color, are
Yeah.
struggling with depression, anxiety, suicidal, ideations. It's not just us young ladies, it's men, and it often goes unaddressed. And it's
Mhm.
very concerning because as you probably have saw or seen on TV, the violence statistics against women are rising, and a lot of it is at the hands, unfortunately, of men. So, talk to me a little bit about the type of people that are coming across your couches, your offices, when they come in for this motivational coaching. What would you say is the largest demographic that you see, and what are some of the most common complaints that you're having about the lack of motivation? What are they having the issues with?
I would say that firsthand, I work with all ages and all genders.
Okay.
Um, I find that I work primarily with adults. It is usually women. I was I was able to work with a group of young men this past 2 weeks in Bronx River Community Center.
Okay.
Um, it was scheduled to be a self esteem, like self care vision board, and I was blessed and honored to have some of their working young men, and that was a new dynamic for me.
Okay.
And at first, I didn't think they would like or even relate to it. But in the midst of it, I realized that no, these young men need this. They need these tools
I
to
do.
learn themselves, to spend time with themselves because they aren't being taught to care for themselves. I find that a lot of, young men and older men, they haven't been given that space and grace to work through their emotions. And this is why we
Okay.
have a lot of broken grown men because there has been this stigma that men need to be strong, men can't cry, boys can't cry, and that has poured into these growing men that
Yeah.
haven't had that space to release that trauma, release those negative emotions, release those feelings of self-doubt that women have had that space to do. And I
I,
think that that is the primary reason why there is such a high rate for young men of color because let's be honest, young men of color, they aren't told, oh, we'll just put you in therapy. No, like get over it.
yeah.
Let's be honest. This is what's happening, and
Yeah.
this is unfortunately the cover up. Men are not given that space. So I am a boy mom,
I
and
saw
I tell
that on your
boys
profile.
all
It
the
said
time,
moms.
it's okay to be upset. It's how we handle that anger. Because that's another thing, we it has been a societal conditioning to tell men to just get over it, you know, just it's fine, get over it, do better. No, it's okay to have those feelings. Let's process how we handle those feelings so that we're not just putting them in the back of our mind and now we're harboring those feelings and now we can't release those feelings because you eventually release it, just as women, we build up, we calling and all those things, and now we just lash
Now you're
out and it's angry
exploding.
black women.
Yeah.
No, you need to address those issues now so they're not building up. And the same thing goes for men. Men need that space. There's unfortunately not a lot of space out there, a lot of groups out there to allow these men that's kind of quiet space. And I think that's why there is a higher rate.
So I read, and I think that not only are there a lack of spaces, but there are a lack of male counselors
Yeah.
that they might feel more comfortable speaking with. Just like there's a shortage of male teachers.
Yeah.
And then if you want to break it down even further, there's a shortage of male teachers of color. I think the percentage is like 2% are like black and like 6% total of
Yeah.
all. It's crazy. And so a lot of times they don't feel comfortable speaking to women about their
Yeah.
issues. For example, if I'm teaching a class and I'm having behavior issues with a boy, he will act a fool with the female teachers, but as soon as the male dean comes, pulls him out, talks to him in private, he comes back a changed person because he now has that, that relationship and that understanding.
Yeah.
Um, is it a conflict of interest for you, with you being a Christian or faith-based motivational coach? Is it a conflict of interest when you have someone who comes to you and says, hey, I don't believe in organized religion, or I'm not a Christian, or I'm an atheist, I'm whatever? Can you counsel someone without incorporating religion or spiritual beliefs in there?
I have, just full transparency, I've never been in that position. However, I will say that for me, I am a Christian. I am a believer of Christ. However, I don't follow a religion. I believe in having a relationship with God. And so
Okay.
that's kind of how I operate my faith journey. I recognize that everyone doesn't have those same beliefs. So I've learned to use discernment that not everyone needs prayer out loud. It may be that God put this person in front of me that I may need to pray for them when the session is over. I may
Okay.
need to pray for them in the middle of our session in my brain, right?
Mhm.
It's not necessarily that that person needs that right then and right there. It may just be that God put them in the position to just use the gifts that He has given me for self empowerment, self esteem, and that may be all that they require to maybe transition and learn to love God. Because again, having a relationship with God is just having a relationship with an actual being. If you learn how to love yourself, you can make space for that love to pour out to someone else. So
Absolutely.
in that space, I've learned that discernment that sometimes even when someone comes to me and they're just telling me all their problems, they may not need prayer right there and right now because they just want to vent.
Yeah.
But when I hang up the phone, it's put on me to pray for that person.
Pray for them. And it's a lot of listening.
Yeah.
And like you said, that discernment, as you get stronger in your faith, whatever your denomination is, if you have one, you start to be able to sense people's energies and kind of sense what's going on. I know as a teacher and working with at-risk youth, sometimes I can just have someone come into my presence and I already know, okay, there's some domestic situations, there's some violence, there's some, or okay, this child might be hungry, that's why they're acting out. And it just comes with the territory. You get
Mhm.
to hone those skills in. Um, Talk to us a little bit about how you got interested in this work. Like, what's your background, and how did you even get interested in becoming a motivational coach?
I would say that um, a couple of years ago, going on 3 years, well, going on 4 years now, I got married. And then shortly after, I became a mom. And I found myself in this kind of limbo of who am I now that I'm a wife, I am a mom, and I was trying to find myself. And so I remember growing up that I loved to write. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to write a book. And
Okay.
I wrote a book, and then my book touched on a lot of trauma. It touched on trauma, it touched on mental health. And so when I was presenting my book to the community, because it was more of, I want to deliver this message of healing, deliver this message that life happens, but we move on. I wasn't going to bookstores. I was going to community centers. I was going to community board meetings. I was going out to the community so that the community can learn that life happens, but you can heal. But in the midst of talking to different individuals and different, author talks and different book read alouds, I realized that I can do so much more for this community.
Yeah.
And so then I went online.
Are
I
you
got
from the
certified.
Bronx? I'm sorry to cut you
I
off.
am
Are
from
you
the Bronx. I am
okay?
from the
So I was
Bronx.
correct. Okay, she's a
Yes.
Bronx. Okay, got it.
And so I became a motivational coach. And in that training and building up my curriculum, I'm like, you know what, there's still more that I can do. And so then I went to my friends and I'm like, look, I want to start this non for profit and I want to address all these things to help people. And that's kind of how it all just kind of took off. It took it just like I just want people to be the best version of themselves. I want people to heal from their past traumas. I've healed from my past, and I want other people to feel what I feel. So it's like every day I come up with these new ideas. Like, look, I know something, another way we can help people.
The best version of themselves. I love that phrase. Be the best version of yourself. Be the best you that you can be. And I have a hard time. We got about 30 seconds. We got to take a break. But a lot of people don't know who they are. They don't know what version of themselves. They don't know who they are. And I see it as early as fifth grade. I've had 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds. They're like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I like. You can ask them something simple like, well, what flavor ice cream do you like? I don't know. Okay, what's your favorite place to go? I don't know. Everything is, I don't know. And I think COVID didn't help because a lot of people lost just basic social skills, basic communication skills. So when you're trying to do a vision board, at least in my experience with the girls, that is like pulling teeth. They don't know. Yeah. And so we need people like you to help them first lay that out. And then now, we can put a little razzle dazzle on it and become the best version of ourselves. So we are going to take a quick break. You are watching the comment section. We will be back in a few seconds. Oh.
Do you often feel like the issues that are featured on network TV don't interest you, don't affect you? Do you feel like the arts and cultural events that are featured don't really interest you? Do you generally feel like your voice goes unheard? If you answered yes to any of those questions, Millennium News 24 is here to help you. I'm Shirley Phillips, and I'm the host of The Comment Section, a new show on Millennium News 24, airing on Sundays, and we are airing on all streaming media. MillenniumNewsTV24.com, MillenniumNews24.com, Apple TV, Roku TV, Fire TV, Horizon Satellite, and drumroll please, all smart TVs. So there's no excuse for you not to catch up with us. We hope to see you on Sundays on Millennium News 24.
Okay, we are back. And I just want to pick up on where we left off. Not knowing who you are, yet having the world expect you to present the best version of yourself. So my question to you is, how would you address an issue like that with a teenager versus how you address it with someone like me, a whole 49-year-old? How would it look different talking to a 13-year-old versus a 49-year-old?
So I like the example you use of the vision board, right? So let's start with this. So with the vision board, before you put it on paper, right? We usually have these visions in our brain, how we want things to look. And so I always start a workshop or a meeting with like a worksheet, right? And on that worksheet, we talk about affirmations. We talk about what self-care is, going through those 7 pillars of self-care. And now that you know what those 7 pillars are, how does it apply to you? Right? Because what self-care looks like, if you don't mind, what are they? The 7 pillars of self-care are physical, right? We all know that. Go to the gym, get our hair done. Mental, right? Doing that mental check. For some people, it may be that mental health. Spiritual, whatever that looks like. Some people, it may be praying, it may be meditating, it may be studying the Bible, right? Environmental, all the things around you, from your home to the places that you go. Social, those people that you're hanging out with. Some of those people that are toxic and you wondering why you're angry all the time because you keep surrounding yourself with
people. Talk about it. Right? Talk about it.
Emotional, right? Doing that emotional check. How do I feel? And then the last one, physical, mental, environmental, social.
I think that's it. It was 7.
It was 7?
Social, environmental, spiritual, mental, physical.
Oh, and recreational. That's the 7th one. Recreational. The things that you do. People don't realize that those hobbies that you have, those are also self-care. So if you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people, if you're doing the wrong kind of things, if your life and house looks chaotic and you're wondering why you're always depressed, you're always emotional, you're always angry, you got to
Yeah.
do a clean house on everything. Every aspect of your life is a part of self-care. So in that, I always talk about the 7 pillars. Think of the 7 pillars as a building. If you pouring into maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 of those pillars, 2 are not strong. And
Two are not.
eventually, as you grow, these pillars start to get weaker. And it may not be tomorrow. It may not even be in 5 years. It may be 20, 30 years that you're down the line like, whoa, what's happened to me? I've been strong. I've been doing
Mhm.
all this, but now I don't feel right. It's because those pillars are starting to deteriorate. You haven't been pouring into those things, and something is missing in your life that you've been neglecting for some time. And so,
Oh my
in that, we talk about why all those 7 pillars are important, not just two, not just four, but all 7 are important. So,
all
we
the
talk
time.
about how to address those 7 pillars. What can I do in my life? So, at 13, at 47, at 30, at 60, what can I do? And then, after you've addressed all those things, now you can create a vision board, because now you have all those things on paper. It's tangible. Now I can see what that actually looks like.
Now I can see
You
what
know,
it looks like.
you can't just tell someone, oh, do a vision board. It's like, I don't know, there's a lot, right? But now we've kind of worked through those things. And now it's like, oh, it makes sense now. I know what needs to go on there because I've already laid it out. I've already put it on that list of things that I want to see.
Wow, that just that hit home. That the pillars, they wear out after a while.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I love everybody. I love people. That's what God wants me to do. But my passion is Black women, because I am a Black woman, and it is his historical fact that we are the most unprotected demographic. Of late, we've become, just for whatever reason, the butt of jokes. We've become, it's like a pervasive hatred of Black women. And I'm excluding Hispanic women out of that because it's particularly to Black women. I don't know if it had to do with the presidential election. We told people how to vote, and now y'all are seeing it and you mad at us. I don't know. But I know that based on what you just said, we are exhausted because for so many years we have been pillars, not only for ourselves, but for everybody. I can't be your recreation and your emotional support, mental support, tell you to go to the gym, tell you to go. I could, but then who's doing it for me? And I wanted you to address, in the event that children, let's just use your example, are missing some of those pillars. What happens when the only thing that they do is based on the computer or the cell phone? Your recreation is your cell phone. Your physical, what you think you should be physically is based on what you see on your cell phone, your TikTok, your Instagram. I think that's an issue. And I would like to know how to address that with teenagers and even some young adults, that they get everything from cyberspace.
I
How is that?
think they need that time to unplug, right? A lot of, and I agree that a lot of children, a lot of these young adults, they have been so glued to their phones, been so glued to gaming, that they are lacking those social skills. And so this is why we also need these programs that are surrounding these age groups with positivity, that meet them at the point of their needs, so that they can have that kind of connection with other individuals their own age, connection with individuals that look like them. There, I feel that the society just needs more in person, more virtual villages where these kids feel heard, where they feel safe, where these young adults also feel heard, where they feel safe. A lot of it is that as adults or as parents, we have shown that kids, okay, go find something to do. Or, as a mom, sometimes I do something, go watch TV, but we need to find that balance where we're like, you know what, yes, let's be in the midst of each other. How is
Yeah,
your day? Is
yeah.
that finding that balance? And sometimes it is the family. We need to start in our own families. We need to
Mhm.
grow that environment in our own families. Put your phone down, we're going to eat dinner, have a conversation.
Yeah.
Before we even start the rest of our day, Let's do some self affirmations, whether it's early in the morning, whether it's at night. We need in our own homes and our own families to create that safe space so that our kids and young adults are not going into this world feeling like the only way they feel heard is on the phone and on the internet. We have
That's
to create that
so
for ourselves.
that is so important. And I was actually thinking about normally I try to do at least every year, every other year, I do a big conference with the nonprofit for girls, Go Girls. And I've been teetering with the idea of doing a boy mom
Yeah.
event where it's only mothers of sons, whether they have one son, 10 sons. Those are the only people that would be invited. Daughters are not allowed. So that we can have some men on there on these panels, some private rooms where moms can, address like what you just said. It's okay to cry with their sons and see that they're not alone in that. Because a lot of our kids feel very much isolated, especially depending on the social demographics. If I'm in a gang territory, crying might cost me my life. If somebody sees me outside crying, I might get beat up or jumped or
Mhm.
shot. So sometimes I can't cry because it's my life on the line here. So thank you for addressing that. I really do think that is important. And as far as community, do you blame some of the parenting styles for a lot of the lack of motivation and a lot of the just uncertainty that we see within our children and some of our young adults? Do you think it's the parents' fault or no?
I don't think it's the parents' fault. I think it's a lack of knowledge in our communities that has not been shown up in our communities, and that's why people fall short. Right? People, when you are operating from our ancestors' point of view of parenting, and no one has done the additional research on how to help our children or how to address certain things, there's no knowledge being passed down. So if we're not breaking this cycle, no one's going to elevate. So I don't blame the parents per se. I blame the lack of knowledge, because if you knew how to do better, you would do better,
You would do
you
better.
know. But I do blame the we have knowledge at the tip of our fingers now. You can just Google, hey, what do I do in this situation?
Like
You know,
overkill.
I blame the lack of looking into the knowledge. When I became a mom, it doesn't come with a manual. I'm just like, okay, what do I do? I went on YouTube to find different parenting. Now, parenting for me looks different based on the day and also the situation, but recognizing that discipline and also love starts at home.
Mm,
We
it
need to
does.
not just discipline our children. We need to teach them why what they're doing is wrong. Not just because I said so. You
Yeah.
know, why is what you're doing wrong, and what is that going to look like in society if you did that? Right? Giving them love so they're not looking outside of the home for love. Right? So in our own homes, we need to learn how to create those spaces. And if we don't know how to create those spaces, look into how to create those spaces. So the
Hmm.
lack of knowledge and the lack of trying to break the cycle is what I blame. Is people don't need to follow what our ancestors did. They lived in a different time. We have technology at the tip of our fingers. There's so much access to resources and knowledge. And it's that I believe,
Fingertips. You're
that
absolutely
people are not
right.
looking for the right, using these things for the right things. They're not using the internet and these resources the correct way. They're looking for entertainment. It's not all about entertainment. It's also about how to build up your own village.
They're looking for entertainment, and I find that we teachers joke. We have our own little private chats about what the kids are lacking. Y'all can't write in cursive. Y'all can't do times table. So yes, we do make fun of y'all, okay, but in a good way. But I think what is happening is they are wise in a sense beyond the years that we were at that age, because they want to know, what's the point of this? What's in it for me? How do I get, what am I getting out of this? Why am I reading this book all day, every day, and it's not going to contribute to my mom or my family doing better or me making a dollar, when I can go on TikTok and make money by doing something that I actually like? So they are very savvy. But I do think it's important for them to get out and do the work in their community, because
Yeah.
no matter how bad you think you have it, there's always someone that has it worse.
Yeah.
And people don't believe me when I say that, but it does make a difference when kids see what is at their fingertips in their community. Okay, yes, you are in a domestically abusive household. We're going to get you some help. But guess what? You have a house. There are kids in my classroom who are homeless, who don't know from night to night where they're going to sleep. So maybe having them, one, see other people's plight and other people's struggle, and then having them do the community service. That's what we've been doing with the girls. Kind of like we had to take a break in another few seconds, but I don't know if you're old enough to remember the choose your own adventure books where you could flip through, and based on which page you turned, it determined
It
what your
changes.
outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I do know somewhere. Yeah.
That's how I'm approaching the programs this year. I want you to see what's going to happen if you keep entertaining this element, this toxicity, or if you go this route and you focus on business and education and helping your community, and see how that could turn out for you. For you, let's do this. Hold on one second. I wanted you, when we come back from our break, to talk about the books. Dark Secrets is the one I really wanted you to touch on. And I wanted you to talk about the importance of journaling and having those devotionals with our boys and our girls. So we are going to take a quick break. We will be right back with the comment section. 2 seconds.
Do you often feel like the issues that are featured on network TV don't interest you, don't affect you? Do you feel like the arts and cultural events that are featured don't really interest you? Do you generally feel like your voice goes unheard? If you answered yes to any of those questions, Millennium News 24 is here to help you. I'm Shirley Phillips, and I'm the host of The Comment Section, a new show on Millennium News 24, airing on Sundays, and we are airing on all streaming media. MillenniumNewsTV24.com, MillenniumNews24.com, Apple TV, Roku TV, Fire TV, Horizon Satellite, and drum roll please, all smart TVs. So there's no excuse for you not to catch up with us. We hope to see you on Sundays on Millennium News 24.
Okay, and we are back. And we have with us Miss Omardi Cannon. She is giving us the tea on motivational speaking and coaching and how we can keep our goals and our visions in focus, even when life is life, and as I like to say, even when life is life, and how can we stay focused and show up as our best selves? So my question to you, Omardi, is what would you say to someone who says, you know what, yes, I have trauma, yes, I had a rough childhood, a rough divorce, a rough whatever, but I don't want to deal with that. I just want to move on. I don't want to deal with that trauma. Would you recommend that? Or do you say that, no, you really should address that first and then move forward?
No, I definitely always recommend healing from trauma, because what happens is that when you don't heal and you suppress, later in life, something that may be unrelated may trigger that. And that may make you paralyzed to being able to heal and move forward. Or sometimes it may not be that it triggers and you recognize that the trauma is now affecting you, but it may be, depending on the trauma, affecting your relationships. I don't know why I can't keep a man, why I can't keep a woman, right? I don't know why I can't communicate effectively as an adult. It's because we haven't resolved certain types of traumas. I don't know why I have self-esteem issues, but I grew up in a home that maybe put me down, or I was in a former relationship that maybe put me down, that I suppressed those emotions I never healed from, and now I can't get past that. So I do believe that healing is always the first step to moving forward. It took me a while to heal from certain traumas, and I realized that it's because I suppressed them. I didn't talk about them. I put them in the back of the brain, and I wondered why I was kind of going crazy. And crazy, not in the sense of losing my mind, but crazy in a sense of not knowing who I was.
Yeah.
So when I took time to find me and love me, I was able to address those hurts. You know, my husband said something very important to me. He said it's not about just forgiving and getting over it. It's about acknowledging that hurt. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay. I feel this way, you know, verbalizing, you know, I was hurt or I'm
Mm-hmm.
still hurt. You know, I dealt with this, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but I'm going to release that, or I'm going to get the help that's going to release that. Because
Release.
I do feel that not addressing something will eventually disrupt those your pillars, right? Because your mental ain't gonna be on point, your spiritual ain't gonna be on point, your emotions ain't gonna be on point because you're not addressing something very important. That's like having a pipe in the wall that you never addressed for 50 years, and now you're wondering why you getting these leaks. That
That,
same pipe been in there
they
for 50
say
years, cracking,
if
you
you
ain't
don't
fixed it.
deal with the trauma, it's going to deal with you. And it's
Exactly.
not going to be at an opportune time. It's going to be at the most inopportune time. And thank you for confirming that, because some
Yes.
people are just like, and it's not always boys. I find when I'm dealing with kids that are from like urban
Yeah.
metropolis type places, New York, Detroit, Baltimore, they want to just suck it up and move on. Like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever, been there, done that, whatever. And I see the trauma coming out.
Yeah.
You can see it in their work when they're
Yeah.
writing certain, like when we do narrative units, you can see what they're writing about.
Yeah.
Wow, you've been through a lot to be 13, or you've saw or seen a lot to be 10, and it's actually very concerning. So talk to us about the journaling aspect or the devotional aspect that you bring to your sessions. How does that help with someone addressing what they've been through?
So with the journaling, I find that pouring out your negatives is a very positive release. A lot of people don't have that space or that person to talk to. So when I
Mhm.
created my journals, I have these self-care pages. It's not just endless writing. So
Okay.
in my journals that I created, we have these, I think every 10 pages, there are these self-care journals so that that helps you do your mental checkup, right?
So
It's
it's
not
not a
about
problem.
just pouring out exactly the different prompts. Some of them
Okay.
have how you know, emotional segments where you're saying how you're feeling. Some have affirmations, right? You have
Okay.
to write out your own affirmation because as a person who used writing as an emotional release growing up, I find that when you're just pouring out the negative and don't replenish the positive, it kind of leaves you in that space. So when
Okay.
I in my journals, I was very intentional to make sure that every few pages throughout the entire journal, there are these random self-care pages. Because you may be in the midst of your emotions and you don't hit the very next page, and now you're at a mental checkup. So it
Okay.
kind of helps you be you put out, but you also pouring back in.
You're pouring
Now,
back
with
in.
devotionals is the same thing, right? We're in this spiritual warfare, right? Because they're two different things. Not everyone who uses a devotional uses a journal for the same thing. But when
Okay.
you're in a spiritual warfare, and I've been there, and you're having this upset moment with God, right? Because it's a relationship. Sometimes you be mad. You're like, I don't understand what you're doing in my life. I don't like it. I'm not seeing clearly. I think you've left me, but he hasn't,
He
right? I
has it.
find that these devotionals with the scripture and the reflection section, where you can now again relate that back to yourself. A lot of
Mm,
people are disconnecting because they don't know how to relate it back to themselves, right? You need that
okay.
space. So why does this apply to me?
Accountability.
With the kids, how does this apply to me? What is this going to do for me? Now, I poured this all out to you. Now you think about it. You know,
Wow.
how does this apply to you? I shared with you that I did a vision board with young men, and I
Mhm.
told them, I said, look, I don't care if you disregard anything that I say today, but I hope you walk away with just
Mhm.
one thing. That one thing stuck out to you today, because
Mhm.
it's not about me; it's about you. You know, what I'm pouring out is not meant for you to. This is not school. I'm not your teacher. I'm not giving you a grade. You're not doing it for me. You're doing it for you. And this is what I always tell. I tell young kids in like fifth, fourth grade. I
Mhm.
tell adults, I'm not giving you a grade. You're not doing this for me. They're doing this for you. So in all my workshops, I give everyone a chip. And that chip signifies, like, when people go to like Alcoholic Anonymous and things like that, they get a chip for their, for their achievements. So in all my workshops, I give a chip because you took some time out for yourself.
That's
That's
right.
an achievement. You did
Absolutely.
something today to show that yourself, that you love yourself and you are worthy. So, and this is why I am purposeful in giving that chip, because that is a proud moment. That is an achievement.
I love that. I love that. And you said it was at a community center in the
Yeah,
Bronx?
the Bronx.
Okay. Do you travel? Like, would you be open to traveling to doing a panel discussion? Because my brain is racing here where I can see where you are needed in so many different cities, and there's so many events coming up, mostly specific to women and girls. But like I said, I'm trying to make this issue that we're having with our boys and our men more prominent for other people, because I don't think people realize what these kids are going through, and kids turn into adults. So if it's not dealt with, during those formative years, it's harder, as you become older to deal with it. So are you open to traveling, or tell us a little bit about how we can book you if we are interested in a session?
I am open to traveling. God has blessed me with a flexible lifestyle, both me and my husband, and we love to travel. So me and my family, we always ready to hit the road. So yes, thank you. I am open to traveling. I have predominantly worked out of New York City. So I have been to Brooklyn. I've been to, New York, I will say, because I've also been to Long Island. I've been in Manhattan. I've been in, basically New York. But I'm not stuck in New York. When the Lord tells you to move, you move. So
Yeah,
wherever my assignment has been places, I am willing to go.
you got to move when he says move. I love that. I just lost my train of thought. This is the 49 in me. I had a monumental point that I was about to make, and I just forgot it. Anyways, quickly tell us where we can. The Dark Secrets. I told you I'm going to purchase
Yes.
another for myself. You said it is downloadable, or the journals were downloadable. Is that what you said?
So the Dark Secrets is available in ebook on Amazon.
Okay.
It also is available on paperback on Amazon. I have a few journals also on Amazon. I have a children's book also on Amazon called God Made Us All. It
Okay.
teaches children to be kind in the playground using words that they're familiar with.
Okay.
Dark Secrets, I will tell you and also tell everyone else, it is a very heavy read. There are no soft words, it talks about some heavy traumas, child molestation, prostitution, drug overdose, abuse. It is a very heavy
Fiction
read.
based.
It is fiction. It is fiction.
Okay.
It
Okay.
touches on mental health. So, like in the psych ward, it is a very emotional read because it is written in a way that you are walking in these people's shoes. And
Okay.
so I always like to put that disclaimer out. Is a very rewarding read because it does help with the healing journey, right? But it is, very trigger warning. I always like to put that. Anyone that would like a autograph copy, I do have copies on my own. You can look me up on social media.
All right. Tell them where they can find you. We got like 2 minutes. Tell
I
them where they
am,
can find you on social
I
media.
am on Facebook and I am on Instagram. My name is Omari Cannon, Omari Cannon, Cannon. My downloadable, printable devotional is on Etsy. My Etsy store is Faithfully Becoming. So it is downloadable. It is printable if you want to do it in a group. There are different bundles on there with affirmations, with scripture cards. There's things to put on your phone so that in the midst of all of that, you are feeling elevated with your scripture, with your affirmations. So I am pretty much on everywhere.
She's everywhere. And like I said, guys, just don't text me. You can message me, DM, you can put it in the chat. I will do this for you guys because I'm feeling magnanimous today. The first two people that can message me and let me know why you feel you should have a copy of one of these books, whether it's the children's book, whether it's the devotional, whether it's Dark Secrets, the first two that can message me and let me know why you should have a copy, I will make sure you get that free of charge. Okay, the first too. And we don't want our men, our boys to shy away from this. If you are under the age of 18 and you're trying to get a copy of Dark Secrets, I'm going to need some parental consent first. I cannot just give you that, but I will do that for you. Thank you so much, Amarty. I wanted to know, do you do work with like the homeless at all, or people that are displaced that may not have these types of, tools at their disposal? Do you do a lot of that work yet?
I have not worked directly with the homeless in this capacity. I used to be a security supervisor at a homeless shelter,
Oh,
a mental health and addiction MICA shelter. So I am not new to that environment. I would be willing to work with that environment if, again, if the Lord has placed me on that assignment, because I do know that that environment and those individuals would benefit from it.
they
So I
would.
am not new to that area. I just have not worked in that area yet.
Okay. I can see that. That also fitness. Fitness is what God has put on my heart over the past year or so to focus on as well, because motivation is sometimes not existent for that. It's like I see all these things and it sometimes seems out of reach for a lot of people, especially if you are severely overweight. It can be very intimidating to say, okay, let's get fit. How? If you have 200 pounds to lose? How? If you're diabetic and you have a slow metabolism, so I can see where you're needed in many spaces, ma'am, and I plan to utilize you. So get ready. I'm an only
Yeah,
child. So
you said that it's okay because I'm also a certified weight loss coach. When I was on my weight journey, I went and got certified because I recognized that I had a relationship with food. And so, and not to say that I'm 100% now because I'm still working through my own journey, right? But it's also giving people the resources that they need on how to help them in their own journeys, right? I can help myself, but it's also knowledge is power. And so if I know the knowledge, why not help others, right? Because sometimes it's not just medical, it's not just motivation. Sometimes there is an emotional aspect attached to that. So
absolutely.
if you
I'm gonna
identify
say more
those
often than not.
emotions, right? When we identify our emotions, it's like, okay, no, I really don't need this cake. I'm just feeling sad.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Amarty. We have to check out, but again, message me. Let me know what it is you think you are deserving of, and I will get that to you for the first two. Please contact her if you have questions that we did not address. And thank you guys so much for joining us on the comment section. We will see you next week, 2 o'clock, same place, same time. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
All right.